Hey guys, and welcome to Math with Mrs. Cameron. Today we are going to be doing some applied algebra, and the lesson is classifying triangles and quadrilaterals. So triangles, we'll start with those. You can classify triangles by either the lengths of their sides or by the measures of their angles. So there's scalene and isosceles and equilateral. And then there are also right triangles, acute triangles, and obtuse triangles. So I'll go over all of those with you here. So first is a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle has three sides that are all different lengths. So that could look something like this. So you see how the sides are not all the same length, and you can even specify and say that they were like 3 and 4 and 6. And so that's how you know it's a scalene triangle, 3 different sides. So if they have 2 sides that are the same, then they're called an isosceles triangle. And I'm terrible at spelling this, so I apologize. Isosceles. I missed a letter. So that one's an S and there's a C there. Alright, so an isosceles triangle has 2 sides that are the same. So it looks like this. So we have those 2 sides are the same. The fun thing about isosceles triangles is you also know that these 2 base angles right here are also the same. So that's an isosceles. The last one that we classify using its side lengths is the equilateral triangle. So equilateral looks like this. All of the sides are the same. The other fun thing about equilateral triangles is that all of their angles are also the same. And we know that because all of the angles in a triangle add up to 180, we can go 180 divided by 3, and we get 60 degrees for all of the angles in an equilateral triangle. So besides being able to classify triangles by their side lengths, we can also classify them by their angles. And this one should be pretty familiar because you've been doing it forever. So an acute triangle has 3 acute angles. None of them are greater than 90 degrees. An obtuse triangle has 1 obtuse angle. And so it looks something like this. And besides an obtuse, the last one is a right triangle, which everyone should be familiar with. And a right triangle has 1 right angle. And so it looks like this one. And it will always be marked that it's a right triangle. So on your assignment, what I want you to do with the triangles is classify them as best you can. If you know that it's an acute triangle and you know that it's scalene, make sure that you write that down, okay? I want both of them, not just the one or the other, unless it doesn't give you enough information to do that. So after triangles, we're going to go ahead and move on to quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals all have 4 sides, duh, because quad means 4. So the first one we're going to talk about is a square. A square is the most special of all quadrilaterals because it fits into like all of the categories. So a square is going to have 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles, which in a quadrilateral means that all of the angles are 90 degrees. A square is also a special type of rectangle. So what I can do is I can just change this up a little bit, and I can turn that square into a rectangle. So a rectangle instead looks like this. So there's our rectangle. So this rectangle is going to have 4 right angles, just like a square does. But instead of having all 4 sides the same, it's going to have 2 pairs of sides that are the same. And those 2 sides are going to be opposite each other. Otherwise, it would not be a rectangle. All right, let's see. What other ones do we have to go over? All right, so a parallelogram. Squares and rectangles are both parallelograms because they have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So, parallelogram. And the important part about those is that it has 2 pairs of sides that are parallel to each other. And so we can mark that like this with the little arrows. That just means that those lines are parallel to each other. All right, so next we have a rhombus. A rhombus is a special type of parallelogram. A rhombus is a parallelogram where all 4 sides are the same length. So, a rhombus. Also, fun fact, a square is also a rhombus because it meets all of the requirements to be a rhombus. So those look more like this. You can think of it as like a square that's tipped on its side. And so we have all of the sides are the same. And also we have that they are 2 sets of parallel sides like that. The last one that you need to know for this lesson is the trapezoid. All right, so a trapezoid has 1 pair of parallel sides. So it looks like this. And so we have these 2 sides that are parallel to each other. I like to think of trapezoids as being like triangles that had their tops cut off. All right, so that covers all of the triangles and all of the quadrilaterals that you need to know this week. Come on back for some more lessons for previous classes or any that we have in the future. All right, have a good weekend, guys.